about drones. There have been repeated drone sightings in the Northeast, especially in New Jersey. These are not small drones, some of them pretty large. They're flying at low altitudes, they're flying in flocks. Has the president been briefed on this situation?
So we are certainly aware, the president is aware. So we are closely tracking the activity and coordinating closely with relevant agency, including DHS and FBI, to continue to investigate these incidents. Don't have anything beyond that to share. Obviously, this is something that DHS and FBI are tracking very, very closely, and so I would have to refer you to them directly, but aware. Keeping an eye out and looking into the incidents that you just mentioned.
Still though, but has the federal government ruled out that these are controlled by foreign entities?
Yeah.
And do you know if they're conducting surveillance over these
So
areas?
I cannot make any kind of predictions or comments about that specifically from here. This is something that DHS is looking at and FBI, so I would have to refer you to them. I don't have anything beyond that. We're tracking this very closely. Obviously, we're all aware of the incidents that have been reported. I'm not going to go into what they could be or could not be from here. That is something that obviously is being looked at as those respective agencies that I mentioned.
When was the president briefed on this?
I don't have a timeline, but he certainly has been made aware of this.
And the New Jersey governor said, it's frustrating that there aren't answers about where these are coming from, that people are very concerned about this. What's the White House message to the people up there who are frustrated that there isn't any information right now?
And obviously, we hear them and we understand that. We are closely tracking this. We are monitoring the incidents that have been put forward and certainly made public. And we have two agencies that I've already mentioned that are looking into this, working closely with folks on the ground, trying to get to the bottom of it. I don't have anything more to share beyond that.
All right, we got that. Hello, welcome back. I'm Ron. If you're here, it's because you already know about all the drone activity recently in and around New Jersey, New York, and even Pennsylvania, other states I'm sure as well. And if you missed it, you can watch my previous video here on what's going on for a little background. Today, I'm just here to be what I'm going to consider to be a voice of reason. I've read many of the comments in my video and a few other videos, and it seems like there's a need to clarify at least a few things. So I'm sure many people are just having some fun in the comments, but I'm sure there are some folks out there who are quite serious, and perhaps I can help a few people out and put their minds to rest with this video. First, a little background on myself. I live in New Jersey, specifically Somerset County, which is very close to where many of the reports are coming from. I've been flying drones for over 6 years now, and I have what's called an FAA Part 107 pilot certificate or pilot license, and fly drones professionally as well. So again, I've read a bunch of the comments, and first let me put to rest what we're discussing right now are drones like this one in and around the New Jersey area. We're not talking about UFOs or UAPs, as they're also known more recently. You know, those little round glowing orbs in the sky. That's something quite different. And that's what Congress has been having hearings on. It's also worth noting that those UAPs typically fly at altitudes at 10,000 to 30,000 feet, which is a range that commercial aircraft fly in, like your planes, right? Well, people are reporting to Jersey here are not UAPs, and no one should be concerned about little green aliens running around in New Jersey. So at this point, I think people are posting anything and everything they're seeing in the sky right now, and looking at many of the online videos, I'm seeing everything from plain old off-the-shelf drones, right, like the ones I got here, to planes, to helicopters, and everything you can find in between. And if it's in the sky and moving or has lights, I think people are posting it on their social media. So to clarify, not everything being posted online is what the FAA and FBI and local law enforcement agencies are investigating. What the FAA and FBI are investigating and concerned with is the larger drones being seen in New Jersey skies that don't seem to be complying with the current FAA rules and regulations. The only reason the FAA and FBI are involved in this is because objects of concern seem to be of a very specific size and weight. They're very large, very heavy, right? With an ability to most likely carry a significant payload, right? They can probably carry several hundred pounds. And with that being said, basically anything over 55 pounds puts the drone in a whole new classification. That means it has to follow a whole new set of rules and regulations set forth by the FAA. So for example, this old Mavic Air here has a whole different set of FAA guidelines to follow as compared to something like what's called a VTOL aircraft, VTOL, standing for vertical takeoff and landing, which means it can take off and hover and land vertically without needing an actual runway. Now, there are even what's called eVTOLs as well, which are electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Most of these are prototypes, but I'm sure they exist somewhere in corporate America. These are also sometimes referred to as flying taxis or air taxis. Now, I'm not aware of any being built in New Jersey or New York or companies that have home bases out of my state, but they are being built and exist elsewhere. I know there's a company in California. I saw an article recently where United Airlines plans on using electric air taxis from Manhattan to Newark Airport with a company called Archer, with a 2025 planned launch date. Here's a clip from that video I'll put up.
Scaled, but also operated.
United and Archer recently announced plans for a 2025 launch of air taxi service in New York City.
We're going to be flying from downtown Manhattan at the heliport that exists there already to Newark Liberty International Airport, which is one of United's main hubs. It's a route that millions of people already take every year. People are already going from Manhattan to Newark, and we know there's demand.
So before any of our agencies like Department of Justice or local law enforcement start shooting down anything out of our skies, yeah, I see a lot of the comments regarding that. They first want to ensure that it's not someone testing a prototype, something like these new air taxis. Now, with that being said, I'm sure if what we're seeing is an air taxi type service, I'm sure they're supposed to be broadcasting some sort of identifying information. And any layperson can download an app to their phone, something like Drone Scanner or something called Flight Radar 24, to see who and what's flying in our airspace. However, from experience, I can tell you that a lot of the apps, the free ones anyway, don't always show everything. Obviously, we're not seeing military vehicles on those apps. I'm sure many of them have capabilities to run in stealth mode, so we're, as the public, are not seeing them. So again, the reason for this video is just to give you some other things to think about before we assume that every post online is the same series or the same drone or drones that are being investigated. I'm seeing a lot of stuff posted online, and it's apples and oranges. This isn't the same drone being posted, or this isn't even the same drone types being posted. So in 2024, coming into 2025, we have a ton of existing and new development in air travel and drone technology. And this is why the FAA has been tasked with cleaning up and being able to identify everything in our airspace. So looking at the Archer website in 2024, this is what they've reported. They began building initial fleets of what's called midnight air taxis to be used in, with quote, for-credit flight testing with the FAA. They've received a Part 145 and a Part 135 certificate from the FAA, and the FAA has issued Midnight's final airworthiness certifications. Now, I know this doesn't answer everyone's question about what the large devices flying in and around New Jersey are, but I wanted to give you some food for thought, and I haven't heard or seen any other videos or news organizations reporting this type of information, so I just want to put it out there. And again, I'll continue to post updates on this topic as we know more, as we get more videos. Maybe I'll even, like I said, I live in Somerset myself, maybe I'll even see one of these so I can get a better feel of what they are. But remember, you can't just shoot drones down or any aircraft out of our airspace. It's actually a federal offense, and the FAA treats drones like any other aircraft. You wouldn't shoot a plane down, so don't shoot drones out of the air. You're going to end up getting in trouble. So on one final thought, I think people are putting their hobby drones up in the air, again, like this one, to capture some of the better or high quality images. And if you're doing that, it may just be adding to some of the confusion that people are, what they're reporting online. I'll also quickly mention that there are specific guidelines for putting drones up in the air. At a minimum, to be legal, you need to comply or complete an updated what's called initial knowledge test for online recurrent training. And your aircraft must be lighted for anti-collision lighting visible for at least 3 statute miles and have a flash rate sufficient to avoid collision. And of course, you may also need to register your drone with the FAA as well as complete all the remote ID requirements, which is also something relatively new. So before you toss your drone up in the air into the night sky, just a few things to think about, since the FAA and the FBI are already watching the airspace, specifically in the area I'm in and around New Jersey. Just be careful what you're doing. So I know a lot of folks are putting their drones up illegally. I'm not here to play traffic cop. Just make sure you know the rules before you do anything that might get yourself in trouble. Lots of great videos out there for all the rules, regulations for flying legally here in the US, but doing it legally is not black and white and does require a little research on your part. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope it helps answer a few questions. Then again, maybe I've just generated even more questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.